I need some juice for the brain. I need some brain juice. I decided that for 30 days, I'm gonna take creatine every single day to see how it affects me cognitively and share with you along the way what I find out. Because so many of you are always telling me I don't have the energy to do the things that I wanna do, or even just having the headspace and the energy to be able to think about what it is that I wanna do next. So if us getting on the creatine bandwagon could potentially help with that, you know I'm gonna find out and let you know. I'm gonna take on this experiment on behalf of all of us, and I'll let you know what I find out, what's useful for you, what you need to know, what you don't need to know, and I will report back. So let's get started. So earlier this year, I started taking strength training a lot more seriously, and everyone and their uncle has been telling me that I should start taking creatine because of that. But I don't know about you, but I kind of also have supplement fatigue. You know, I'm already taking vitamin D and magnesium and omega-3s, vitamin Bs, collagen, all the things, right? Not only does it feel like there's just so many things to remember to take, but it's also kind of spenny. All of these things add up. So to be honest, I've been kind of dragging my feet on the whole creatine thing until today. No, not today. Until 2 weeks ago. Also, as much as I've been hearing good things about creatine, about how, you know, it can really improve your workouts, I've also heard a lot of people saying that it can make you gain weight, it can make you feel really bloated, it can make your hair fall out, not to mention the gut distress. So not only at this point am I like, you have to be really pretty special to gain a spot on my supplement stack, but I also just wasn't sure if I was ready for all of those side effects. And so I knew that if I was going to start taking it, I was going to have to like sit down, do my research, like really get to the bottom of these side effects and what is this really going to do for me before I pull the plug. A couple of weeks ago, I was supposed to be filming one of these here YouTube videos, and I was so exhausted. I couldn't do it. I'm not gonna lie, I had been a lady of the streets the night before. Just a cute little dinner with friends, but I did have 2 glasses of wine and didn't get as much or as good quality sleep as I usually do. And there was nothing in the tank. And so of course, what I did instead was procrastinate, of which my favorite method is scrolling. I was feeling it the next day. So much so that by the time I came to film my video, I had already broken one of my cardinal rules, which is to not have more than 1 coffee a day. But by this point, I'd already had 2. I needed 1 to get me in the gym in the first place, and then the second one on my way out to try and get me to film. But I think the universe was looking out for me, because while I was scrolling, there was a clip from one of Dr. Rhonda Patrick's podcast interviews where she was talking with an expert about creatine, and they were talking about some recent research which showed that a high dose of creatine, so around 20 grams or so, can give you a cognitive boost when you are sleep deprived. It can really boost your mental energy and allow you to still get done the things that you need to do. I guess my algorithm just knows me so well, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, say less. Because I actually did already have some creatine, because I already knew that I was thinking about taking it. So I had ordered it. I just hadn't got around to starting it. So when I saw the clip and I remembered I had listened to that podcast episode before, I was like, this sounds like exactly what it is I need right now. I can't have any more coffee. I need to get this thing done. Please, I need some juice for the brain. I need some brain juice. But I'm not gonna lie, I was a little too scared to take 20 grams. From like 0 to 20, I was a little shook. So I did 10. Bear in mind, a normal dose is 5 grams. So yeah, I was like, okay, we're gonna meet somewhere in the middle. But listen, it worked. Not only did the video get filmed, but I felt fantastic. So I was like, oh, okay. Everything I'd been hearing about it so far was really focused on the physical. It was focused on the muscles and your workouts and everything. And this is the reason why, you know, it's known as a gym bro supplement, because it's the gym bros who be taking it. And I think a lot of women feel the same way, where they're like, oh, this is something that the gym guys take to get bulky, and just don't see themselves in that. But once I got put onto the cognitive benefits of creatine, I was like, okay, no, this is where you can sign me up. So I decided to go and do a deep dive into the cognitive benefits of creatine. So let me tell you what I found out. There was a big meta review that was done in 2023 looking at the creatine research. And what they found was that creatine can actually boost memory, especially people who are over 60 saw the biggest changes. And it also seems to help with attention and processing speed, although that part's a little bit more hit and miss. Some of the earlier research also found that it can help with reasoning and problem solving, especially when your brain is feeling under pressure. What researchers think is happening there is that creatine is increasing the energy reserves in your brain. So when you're feeling mentally fatigued or stressed, the creatine is giving you more backup fuel in the tank, which is why a lot of the results show that it is most useful when people are stressed, are tired, or like mentally fatigued. Like was shown in that 2024 study where people were intentionally sleep deprived and then given that big dose of creatine, that 20 grams of creatine, and found that it helped them to think faster and stay sharp even though they were so tired. There have also been some small trials with Alzheimer's patients which have showed that it could potentially help with memory and and executive function, which is promising, but also still early days. The high level takeaway on all of the research related to cognitive benefits is that if you are young, healthy, and well rested, that you may not notice a big improvement. But if, like me, your brain's energy demands are higher, so maybe you're a little bit older now, you are stressed, maybe you're working like a high stress job, maybe you have kids and aren't sleeping much, in general aren't sleeping much, creatine could potentially make a big difference to someone in that situation. So I read all this and was like, cool. But what does that really mean on my day to day? Still wasn't completely convinced. However, a couple of days later, I went to the gym and I decided to take some before my workout and just see if what the gym bros have been saying is true. And I'm sorry to tell you, but they were right. It did just take my workout to the next level. I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I have so much energy, but I just found that the workout itself felt easier. Usually by the time I get to like rep 8, rep 9, I'm fighting for my life for those last few reps. But I found like the fight wasn't so hard. That's really how I could describe it. So after having experienced that, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how it works with your muscles and how it works in your brain is similar. So practically day to day, what the benefits are cognitively is to think about it in the same way that it helps you with the last few reps. And this is what I was really interested about.
In the beginning.
Hey, my loves. Even though this is the beginning of the experiment, technically, I have been taking creatine for a couple of days already. I thought this would be a good time to fill you in on what I've learned. I'm just going to give you the headlines of what I think is useful to know and like what I'm really taking into consideration as I'm taking it.
Class is in session.
What the hell is even creatine? It sounds so serious. It's literally just a supplement. But anyways, one thing that's helpful to know is that creatine is actually a naturally occurring compound in the body. It's something that we get both in our diet, so from animal foods, meat, in particular red meat, fish, dairy, eggs, and then we also make it as well. So our liver and our kidney also makes it, and then our brain makes a little bit of it as well. It's a compound that is made in our body from amino acids, 3 in particular, and it is something that we store in our bodies, in our skeletal muscle. I think it's around 95% of the creatine we have in our body, we store in our skeletal muscle, and then the other 5% we store in our brain. The second thing to know is that because the gym bros have been taking it for so long, it is, I think, one of the most well-researched supplements in the world. We have like decades and decades of research about it. So it is considered to be one of the safest supplements out there just because it has been studied for so long. So the creatine that's already in our body, its main job is all to do with energy. And so when you think creatine, the most important thing to think about is think energy. So one of the things I always want to know when I'm considering taking a new supplement, especially when it's something that's naturally occurring in the body, is why would I need to supplement it in the first place? Because I don't really want to just be supplementing for the sake of it. The reason for that with creatine, from what I've understood, is that while we make some of it ourselves, you are getting some of it from your diet. That tends to not be enough to fully saturate your stores. And that can be an issue if you're doing things like high intensity exercise. So if you're strength training or you don't get very much from your diet because you're vegetarian or vegan, you're plant-based, or you're looking for those cognitive benefits because you are going through a lot of stress. And to be honest, who doesn't? So it's more just like if for whatever reason you are looking for that additional support. I'm about to start a master's. Literally next week, I'm starting a master's in applied neuroscience on top of running my business. And so, yeah, I'm looking for all the help I can get when it comes to just keeping my brain able to do all the things that I ask it to do in this life. The most recommended type of creatine is creatine monohydrate. Considering how expensive supplements can be, it's on the more affordable end of the spectrum. So, yeah, let's hope it comes through on the goods. So when you take it, how does it actually work? So every cell in your body needs energy to do its job. That energy comes in the form of something called ATP. You can kind of think about ATP as little energy pockets that your body uses to just do anything absolutely at all, which is all well and good, apart from the fact that our body doesn't actually store that much ATP, which is where the creatine comes in, because our body stores creatine in our skeletal muscles. So when you supplement creatine, you're just stocking up on your reserves. An analogy that I like is thinking about creatine like your power bank, right, for your phone. So it doesn't replace your main phone battery, which is your main source of energy, which in this case would be your ATP. And in the same way, say like you go out for the day and you are filming loads, you're editing loads, and you're doing so much on your phone battery drains so much more quickly. So the creatine in your body works like having your power bank on standby. The idea of supplementing creatine is just getting a bigger power bank. So you can walk around knowing like, okay, I'm going to have high demand, whether it's the gym, it's going to be a stressful day. I have enough extra backup energy. So I'm curious to see if the power bank actually works. But the first thing I need to figure out is how much creatine should I actually be taking, because I've seen a whole range of stuff online, and also I've heard people talking about a loading phase and not doing the loading phase. So I'm confused. So So I'm gonna call my brother. He's a personal trainer and knows a lot about this stuff. So I'm gonna find out what he says. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Why have you guys been keeping this from us this whole time?
Been telling you,
It's
bro.
all you gym bros have been taking it for years. How much did you take?
I've had 3 scoops of 3.5 grams. So almost 10 grams.
Oh, are you taking more than you?
I told you to space it out though.
Wait until you said yes, I just did it.
I haven't got in yet. This is non-consensual, which means if you post this anywhere, I'll sue. Now the traditional loading method for creatine powder is 2.5 grams 4 times a day for a week.
Okay.
Which actually is 10 grams a day for a week.
Okay, 2.5 grams 4 times a day.
If you're taking it 5 grams a day, it reaches muscle saturation in 30 days. So I would recommend anyone to do the loading over a week, 2.5 grams times 4 or 3.5 grams times 3. Whatever you can break it down to that will make it doable but have the least amount of acute side effects.
Does it matter, like, is there a cutoff in terms of timing of day where I should not take it after? Like, can you take it in the
No,
evening?
I just wouldn't take 10 grams in the evening. If you're in your divisibles, then it's fine. But if you're doing anything above 3 to 5 grams in one shot in the evening, I wouldn't recommend it. Pre and post workout is perfect because, again, like, exercise actually increases the capacity for the tissues to absorb it.
Okay.
Which means you're less likely to get downsides when you take it with exercise.
With exercise, okay.
How does dosage matter? Like, you could do a 10-gram dose immediately after doing the hardest workout of your life, and it just feels fantastic.
Yeah.
And you may not even gain any water weight.
Yeah.
You could do a 10-gram dose after sitting at your desk for 6 hours, and you might then shit yourself.
It's day 5, I put 5 grams in this morning. I'm just gonna go and do like a recovery walk. Okay, I just got back from the gym and I've got my morning coffee. And usually by the time I'm getting my morning coffee, I'm already feeling like I really needed to wake up. But I actually already feel pretty like energized, feel pretty awake. I think in large part due to the creatine, because this definitely feels different. Yeah, I appreciate the energy. It's about 3 o'clock and I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling pretty tired. My brain is like, we're done for the day. So this is a perfect timing actually for my next little bit of creatine. It's meant to help with your cognitive load, so let's see if it actually helps. So I'm doing another 5 grams and it's completely flavorless, so I'm having it with my electrolytes. It is too late for coffee. I cannot have caffeine after 12 p.m. so okay, it's day 6. It actually really did help me yesterday. I managed to get the work done that I wanted to in the afternoon, and more importantly, it felt like I had increased like energy and focus to do it. It felt like morning vibes, but in the afternoon, love that. I'm gonna try and space it out though more throughout the day, and also take it earlier before my workout. Okay, today's a client day, so I just got done with a whole bunch of sessions. I took my afternoon creatine like just before, and I gotta say that I feel like I haven't had an afternoon crash. My energy in my sessions back to back has been really good. I had a coffee before, and I feel like I didn't get the coffee crash after, even though I love coffee. I also hate it because of the crash, but I feel like the creatine is kind of like propping it up. So actually, considering I've had like a bunch of calls, my energy still feels good. This is another big green tick for the creatine. It's nearly 6 p.m. and I'm actually like surprisingly feeling so much more focused. Like I still have so much more energy at this time of day than I usually would. Like even though I am feeling like at the edge of my focus, there's still some there. Whereas usually she's gone by now. So yeah, this is actually going pretty well. I'm curious to see if you kind of build up some kind of tolerance, like maybe it's like beginner's gains, but yeah. For the moment, I'm getting a lot done and I feel like I still have energy going into the evening. So I actually feel like excited to cook and hang out and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going well. So given that it's Friday and it's pretty much the end of a solid work week since I started taking it, I do notice a big shift in my productivity this week. I feel like I just have more cognitive capacity for creativity for longer. So I feel like today I was able to get so much more done just creatively, mentally, than I feel like I would usually be able to. Spreading it out throughout the day though does mean that I'm peeing less. So I think having it all at once, it was definitely making me feel like I needed to pee a lot more than I usually do. Even though I know that I wanted to do this more about like the cognitive effects. Yesterday I did a strength training session. I definitely did notice a difference. I went up in weight on my hip thrusts and I went up in weight on my barbell squats. Also, I felt like my recovery in between the sets was much faster. Most importantly, however, you know how the gym bros talk about the pump, like the muscle pump? When I told you that at the end of the day yesterday, the way my booty was like pumped, I felt like I had a BBL. I was like, wait, maybe should I get a BBL? Because if it feels like this, like noticeably bigger and full. I had it like third party fact checked, okay? I had it verified. It wasn't just me. It definitely made my booty bigger. So much so that actually this morning when I woke up, it had gone. And I felt sad. But it definitely did give me more motivation to A, continue going to the gym and doing my hip thrusts, and B, to keep taking my creatine, because this is BBL in a bottle. I'm gonna be giving body at the beach. I was talking to a friend about it today actually, about how much I'm just really loving the creatine, and one of the things that she was asking me about was bloating. And I will say I actually haven't felt any physical bloating, but also part of the reason why they suggest you space it out throughout the day is so that you have less like gut issues. But yeah, even though there's definitely water weight there, because I can see it on the scales, I don't feel it. I don't feel heavier and I don't feel bloated in any way. So yeah, physically, to be honest, it's only been positive effects rather than any negative side effects, apart from the peeing. Tomorrow will be end of week 1, so let's see what happens in 2 weeks. So I've made it to week 2 and things are going well. I was making notes on what I wanted to update you guys on. One of the big things that I noticed this week from a cognitive perspective is that I was feeling a little bit down this week because my sister was visiting me for a month and she has now gone back to London. So I was feeling a bit sad. I was feeling pretty unmotivated. Even though I was diligently taking my creatine, it didn't really help me with that. But once I did get started on something, I did continue to notice the effects that I saw in the first week, which was that it just helped me with the last bit of it. It's more of the kind of energy that's going to help you keep going rather than get started, which, to be honest, is the same as in the gym. It's not like a pre-workout, you know, it doesn't like get me raring to go to the gym, but once I'm in there, my last reps feel so much easier and I could keep going. So even today, maybe where last week I failed out at 10 reps. Today I made it to the 12. Ooh, but also speaking of energy during the week, so sometimes after work I just feel so tired, I feel so drained, I don't want to do anything. I just find that since I've started taking it, I just have more energy for like little side quests. I've been meaning to make these gym snacks, dates filled with peanut butter and dipped in dark chocolate. It's not complicated, I just haven't got around to it because I just always end up feeling like I'm just too tired to do it. But let me tell you, look what your girl did. And I haven't tasted them yet. Should I taste one now? Those are fire. That's the other thing I did notice, was that I find that afternoon boost effect, I feel it most strongly if I take the creatine in the first half of the day. I'm splitting the doses, so I do 5 grams in the morning and then take 5 grams again like around 11. Then I find that it really helps with that afternoon slump. There was a day during the week where I actually forgot to take it. And the reason I even realized, oh, I forgot to take it is because I felt that afternoon crash. So I can really feel a difference day to day. Now that it's been 2 weeks, because I have been doing 10 grams a day, bar my little blip where I forgot, I made up for it. I must be fully saturated. Muscles must be packed and juicy with the creatine, but I don't know if I feel any different. I feel the same as how I did in the first week. So yeah, so far so good. So it is past week 4 now. So much has happened. I'm gonna catch you up while I get ready for clients. So I was actually talking to a friend of mine who's also recently started taking creatine, and she had mentioned that it really helped with her afternoon slump, but also really helped with her luteal phase. And she just felt like she wasn't as fatigued as usual. And when she said that, I was like, wait a minute, I actually think I'm in my luteal phase right now, but I hadn't even noticed because I hadn't felt that signature that for some people comes in the luteal phase. And when I went to go and check on my tracker, lo and behold, it was my luteal phase, but I had not even noticed. And when I tell you, I notice my luteal phase. Like, I really feel it. Definitely since I got to my 30s, I really feel such a stark difference between my follicular phase and my luteal phase. I'm tired, I'm less motivated. Since I started taking creatine, my fatigue and my luteal phase was just really not that bad. That is a big tick for the creatine, because anything that can help me feel like I don't only have 2 weeks of good energy in the month. I was like, is this a thing? Is this just me, my friend? And actually, this is something that has been observed in the research as well. Studies on women have shown that actually creatine especially helps with fatigue in the luteal phase compared to a placebo control. This is still emerging research. There's still like more that needs to be known about this, but ultimately it all comes down to like interaction with hormones. So in your luteal phase, your progesterone is higher, which can make your energy metabolism a bit slower. And so the thinking is that creatine, because it helps support your energy, is particularly beneficial in that phase of your cycle when your energy metabolism is less efficient, because the creatine essentially acts like a buffer in that energy slump that a lot of women often have in their luteal phase. And as I was reading more and more about this, it just made me so annoyed about how it has been marketed so much at men, when actually the people who need to be taking it, it's us, it's the women, it's the girlies. There are so many reasons why creatine is so beneficial, in particular for women, because women tend to have a lower baseline than men in the first place. It's estimated to be that women tend to have about 80% of the intramuscular creatine that men do. I'm so glad that there is an emerging conversation happening about how beneficial it is for women, whether you work out or not, which we'll come to. And then the other thing that happened in week 3 is I got sick. I got a cold. It was very noticeable to me that I bounced back faster than usual. And not only that, even though I was sick, like I physically felt sick, I still feel like I had more energy than usual. So as much as I was at home and I was resting, I was actually still able to get a lot of stuff done, even though I didn't feel well. So of course, I investigated this as well to see, is this a known effect that creatine has? There is some evidence that creatine can support immune function and reduce some fatigue when your body is under stress, which is exactly how I felt. So while I wouldn't say it cured my cold, it helped me get through it more quickly and with more energy, which is a win-win. So that was all well and good until we got to week 4 and I effed up. I made a big mistake that taught me a very important lesson about taking creatine. By the time I got to week 4, the original tub of creatine that I got had finished. So I just restocked and I changed the brand. I got the Thorn one because it's bigger. It's gonna last me longer. Tell me why after like about a week of switching, I'm starting to feel a bit off. I just was so thirsty. My mouth was so dry. Even though I was drinking so much water, I was dehydrated. But the biggest thing that happened is that I started getting vertigo. I started feeling like off balance. I started feeling a bit dizzy. Then there was a day where I was walking on the treadmill in the gym and I just noticed myself thinking, I might fall off this treadmill. I was walking, mind you. That's a very weird thing to think. What is going on with me? And after eliminating a couple of other things, I realized the only other thing was I changed my brand of creatine. I just thought, you know what? I have been thinking that this scoop looks mighty big. It's pretty deep. Because usually when I measure out a teaspoon of creatine, that's 5 grams. And I was like, this looks a lot bigger than a teaspoon. So I measured it out. I measured how much creatine actually fits into the scoop. It's 10 grams, guys. It's 10 grams. I don't know why it says 5. 1 scoop of this is 10 grams, which means that for about 10 days, I was taking 20 grams of creatine every single day. 10 days. 20 grams. And I know it was the creatine because as soon as I realized I didn't take any the next day and I was like, oh yeah, this is improving. Like I can feel the vertigo going. By the following day, I was back to normal. I'm now back to my normal dose of 10 grams. So check your scoopers, guys. And that's because creatine works by pulling water into your muscle cells. That's what helps them store more energy. When you're doing like the sort of recommended doses, that shift at a normal and appropriate level. But when you're taking higher doses, that water is like being pulled into your cells at a much higher rate. So even though your muscles are like filled with water, you feel really dehydrated. But I'm actually really glad that this did actually happen to me during the experiment, so I could see the other end of the spectrum, because I think when you hear things like the study about if you take 20 grams of creatine after you've been sleep deprived and it can really help you cognitively the next day, it could be tempting to think like, oh, okay, well, I'll just always take 20 grams. And I have seen lots of videos of people talking about how they just take a high dose consistently that is their dose, at least for me. That higher end of the dose needs to just be exceptional circumstances. You've had an extremely bad night's sleep, maybe you're traveling, you're jet lagged or something like that, and you still need to be on the next day, then works great for that. It just really emphasized to me the importance of dosing, and that, you know, more is not necessarily better. And obviously the higher dose that you're taking, the more likely you are to have side effects, as I think with most things, which I think would be my top tip if you are somebody who is considering trying creatine. I would start small and then increase slowly until you find your sweet spot in terms of dose versus side effects. So when I was going through all of the different recommendations, the sort of consensus is that 5 grams a day is the recommended when you're just thinking about keeping your muscle stores saturated. 5 grams a day, which is why you'll find a lot of people who are just using it for the gym are sort of at that 5 grams a day range. If you wanted to be going beyond your muscles into your brain and into your bones, we're looking at that 8 gram to 10 gram range, which is why I take 10 grams a day. If weight gain was one of your concerns when it comes to creatine, don't focus on the number on the scale for the first month. Instead, focus on how you feel and how you look. I have one of those smart scales which shows you like muscle mass, body fat. It's like splits things out. You can see here that my water has gone up, but my fat mass actually had gone down. And even with that water weight going up, I actually don't feel bloated. It's just that there's more water in my muscles. There were a couple days where I was feeling a bit discouraged and I was like, I've been working out and eating really well and my weight stayed the same. But now being on the other side of that, I can see that my body was just adjusting to the creatine, and that's fine. So don't let this hold you back from trying it. Speaking of water, that is my next tip. We gotta drink it. You have to be hydrating more than you were before you were taking creatine. I would say I probably drink about a third more water. So not like a crazy ton more. When I was accidentally taking too much, that's when I really felt like if you're not hydrating adequately to the amount that you're taking, this can be a real problem. My next tip is the time of day that you take it doesn't matter as much as just consistently taking it every day. I found that the easiest way to do this is to habit stack. So add it to something that you're already doing. I just add it to my water. I've heard people putting it in their cereal or in yogurt or something like that. My final tip is to think beyond the gym. You don't have to be going to the gym regularly to start using creatine. It does help sort of get the creatine into your muscles. And obviously, because it helps increase your strength, it does help. Definitely exercise. But what I'm saying is just because you're not somebody who works out that you shouldn't take creatine. You should. Well, I mean, this is not medical advice. You should consider it. My final tip would actually be to separate fact from fiction when it comes to the side effects. While most people could benefit from supplementing creatine, the degree to which you benefit varies a lot person to person based on things like your existing baseline, if you're a woman, if you're a vegan, vegetarian, if you train, different genetic things. So even when it comes to the side effects, these are going to be things that are personal to you. Experiment and see what works best for you rather than being put off by the side effects or going too big on the benefits and like going too hard. Test it out for yourself and see how you respond. Even just among the friends I know, there's such a wide range of experiences. I would personally recommend sticking with the powder over the gummies, but if you are adamant you want to do the gummies, then at the very least check out James Smith videos about creatine gummies and make sure that the ones that you are going to have actually have creatine in them. So after 30 days, what is my final verdict? Am I going to stick with it? I think you might have been able to tell from the tone of this video that the answer is a 100% resounding yes. If it was just about the benefits that you get in the gym, I'm not sure I would remember to take it apart from days when I'm literally going to the gym. The impact it has on my energy outside of the gym is just way more compelling to me than my workouts being a little bit better. Although that booty pump was good. And the 3 big areas that I see that having the biggest impact is 1, that sort of afternoon crash, like it pretty much takes that away. And that means because of that, I'm also not doing other things to try and get my energy up. So I'm not kind of craving sugar in the afternoons or craving coffee because my energy feels good. Second one is the energy support during my luteal phase. That's a big deal for me. I would take it just for that alone. I feel like I'm back in my 20s. It's a win, definitely taking it for that. And then the final thing is just stress support. Because it helps with recovery, helps with energy, helps with your immune system. It just overall just like makes me feel so much more resilient in the face of stress or anxiety. I think one thing that I didn't mention is that it can help with depression as well. And so from a mood and mental health perspective, I think it can be really impactful. And one of the things that I like about it from that perspective is that you can really physically feel the difference. There are some things that I take where I'm like, I don't know, I know that you're supposed to be doing something and you probably are. I can't tell. With creatine, if I've taken it one day and I haven't taken it another day, I can literally feel the difference in my body. And I like that. So after this experiment, it has definitely earned a place in my supplement stack. And not only that, I think it's number 1. It might just be because I'm still on the early high. And if I was only allowed to take one supplement, I think it would probably be this one. At the moment, I can't think of something better. My only regret is that I didn't start taking it earlier. I only started weightlifting like really properly this year. I didn't identify with that world, and creatine was like very much a part of that world. But I'm so glad that there's so much more research coming out about all of the other benefits beyond the gym, because I think it will attract a lot more people, and hopefully especially women, to consider it. Let me know in the comments, what's your experience been like with creatine if you've already started taking it, and if you haven't, what's been holding you back? If there's anything that you're curious about or questions that you have that I didn't cover, let me know in the comments. This was a bit of a different video than the kind that I usually do. I hope that you found it useful. I have a client session about to start in 1 minute, so I gotta go, but I'll see you in the next one.